My name is Elana Harrison. I'm part of the product marketing team at Pipedrive. It is a sales CRM company, and we have a small Berlin office, but we are global. And today, I'm going to talk about how product marketing can and should do more than just manage launches, and instead help shape the business strategy. So we're going to explore how you can move from being seen as a support function to truly becoming an indispensable strategic partner. So to start, let's look at the two main ways of working. So on any given day, we're navigating two worlds at least. On the left, you'll see the world of the doer. So this is the land of product briefs, user flows, process diagrams, very familiar to us all. It's tactical, it is essential, important, and it's focused on execution. And it can be feeling like you're part of an asset factory of product marketing. You're reactive to the queue, late to the roadmap, and relatively unclear about what impact you're driving. On the right, we have the world of the strategic doer. So this is about ideation, prioritization, and understanding the core big picture. It's about shaping the why before we get to the what. So the challenge for many of us is that the gravity of the doer world is incredibly strong. It can easily suck us in, and it's easy for us to get stuck there. So when we get stuck in that execution-focused mode, we can fall into what's known as the build trap, and what I like to call the execution treadmill. So this slide is probably super familiar to you all. This is the state of being that's constantly moving, busy, but questioning your actual impact. It is incredibly reactive. It's the fact that the sales team needs collateral, so you're making it. A new feature is ready, so you're going ahead and shipping it. You're writing a bunch of feature-focused blogs and posts and emails, but maybe not actually assessing if that strategy or that channel focus makes sense for the kind of launch that you want to release. Your calendar is packed with launch dates that you manage like a project manager, because that is also part of your job. But the problem is that you're focused on your outputs. So the number of total blogs being written, for example, or as it's shipped, you're running hard on the treadmill, but the business isn't necessarily moving forward because of you. And that can be very, very discouraging. But there's a way off the treadmill. So you can also become a strategic driver who does make strategic, measurable impact. This is the after picture that we want to see. Instead of being reactive, you're proactive. Instead of just creating collateral, you are defining the market positioning that gives your company a competitive edge. So instead of just writing about the features, you're actually using customer data and insights in a strategic way, in a clear way, to pinpoint the highest value customer segments to go after. And that's the shift from outputs to outcomes. Not just what you deliver, but the measurable impact that your work has on the business. So how do we actually do this? So, look, we're at a product marketing summit. There has to be a framework. This is mine. It's not, exhaustive, let's say. But I think it's a handy way to see all the different hats that we wear as a product marketer and how we can then reposition ourselves within the wider company and start having different kinds of conversations with both sales and product. So first, the ambassador. Who is this person? You are the expert on the customer's problems and their needs. Second, we have the strategist, who knows how to make the hard choices to ensure that the product market fit happens actually before launch instead of just continuously testing afterwards. Thirdly, we have the storyteller. So we love to craft a story in product marketing. We're very fond of this term. And this is the person who crafts a remarkable narrative that truly resonates with the audience. And finally, we have the evangelist, who ensures that the entire organization is telling the same story and is able to repeat it in a coherent way and can confidently tell that story. So let's break each of these down. So, strategy should always begin with insights, not a to-do list from another team, usually product, sometimes sales. As the ambassador, your main job here is to understand the customer's world so deeply that you can guide the company to solve the right problems. So the key idea here is, instead of having a one-off research project right before you have a major launch, you make the habit of having continuous discovery. So what does this look like? This might mean finding a way to have a partner within the sales department where you can jump on some calls and start to understand then prospect needs. Maybe this looks like a closer collaboration with your PM and sitting in on customer discovery, research, ongoing. Practically, this means that customer interviews become a regular part of your week or month, depending on your cycle. And you're able to map customer problems with tools like opportunity solution trees and continuously keep the pulse of the competitive landscape. Understand what prospects are actually talking about, what do they care about. As we've heard from previous sessions, sometimes that requires multiple follow-up questions. So when you do this, you become the authentic voice of the customer for the product team during their earliest research stage. Once you've applied these deep insights, you're equipped for the next role. So good strategy, I truly believe this is what you say no to. It's not saying yes to everything. This is the essence here. We know that our time and resources are limited. We're pulled in a million different directions, and a good strategy requires making the hard choices for how you choose to spend your time. Just because a feature can be launched doesn't mean that it should be launched or should be launched in every single forum. So to make these calls, always check that the launch that you're being approached with or that is suggested in the roadmap maps to a clear business goal or whatever your North Star metric is. Can you actually tie this back to a revenue outcome that you're planning on making? A great strategic act is sometimes having the courage to push back and actually delay a launch if it seems like there's not a clear product market fit. I think sometimes, especially in the case of AI, we're rushing for market parity with other companies. We're not taking a step back to think, does this fit my customer base? Is this something that the market truly wants, or do we even need right now? After you've made the strategic choice of what to launch and to whom, it's time to craft the narrative. And that brings us to the storyteller. Whoops. So, if strategy is your internal plan, then the story is that strategy made public. As the storyteller, your goal is not just to announce something new, it's to tell a story that's so remarkable and resonant and real to the people that you're actually trying to reach out to, that they want to spread it and amplify it. So we know we need to not just list features, but I think what's clear here to point out is that we should also be contextualizing the features that we're launching and really state why they matter and fit into a larger narrative of where the market is going and what people care about. So the key tip that I can give here is that it's important to focus on the smallest viable audience. When you try to be the flavor for everyone, then you only please some people. Here it's really about digging into that niche, figure out how you can personalize the materials that you're creating, and experiment with it as well. Don't just assume that your story works as soon as it's launched. Continuously be testing your messaging, your channels, and your creatives to see how your story actually lands with your audience. So just speaking from a Pipedrive case study, in our cases, we had certain assumptions about how different channels performed in different markets. And we have recently launched a bunch of A/B tests, really trying to push our tone of voice further. So beyond just what we had outlined in our brand, then regulations a couple of years ago, then actually pushing forward to see what actually resonates with the German market. So that is to say, even the world's greatest story is useless if you are the only one who knows how to tell it. So go ahead and then become an evangelist within your organization. So we know that strategic enablement is not a one-off job. It requires consistency and clear feedback loops. Everybody is familiar with the sales enablement kit. What I can just add here is that testing happens sometimes many times after a launch. So what we've been doing is taking then our customer stories, feeding it back into the sales team so that they can continuously use this to attract then new customers. So I know this sounds like a lot, but you don't have to change everything overnight. You can start building these strategic muscles even within the next week. So a couple of concrete examples. To be an ambassador, schedule one customer interview or shadow a sales team with the goal of mapping a problem, not just bringing in your own assumptions into that meeting just seek to understand. To be a strategist, audit a project that you're currently working on. Ask yourself, does it actually still align with our business goals? Because sometimes things shift rapidly, even within a 6-month period. To tell a good story, look at a recent email or web page that you've launched and ask yourself honestly, is this remarkable? Is this the best that we can do? Would anyone tell a friend about this? And then draft a simple test to see how you can improve it. Then finally, be the evangelist. So check in with the customer-facing teams, find out what launch asset performed the worst, and then think about how you can concretely make it better. This feedback from the team will be invaluable as you continue to improve. So it's a bunch of small steps where you can begin the journey from a tactical doer to then being a true strategic driver and a partner to your product team, to your sales enablement teams, and to the customer-facing teams.
Like this video? We've got loads more on demand. To access all previous event recordings, become a member. When you join, you also get access to more resources, templates, and inspiration from other leaders and PMMs. If you do want to catch us live, though, why not join us at our next event? Simply head to the link in the description to see where we're headed. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.